What is going on, everybody? Happy Sunday, Anon here, and it's time to go through our distribution update for Pokemon Magic, One Piece. I'll get my clickbait in there, and other TCGs. And before I start, I've been telling you guys probably for 2 months now that there's a reprint of Lord of the Rings coming. Commander decks, Karlov Manor Commander decks, Lord of the Rings set, and Wilds of Eldraine set, and obviously Foundations and Bloomburrow. And I just found it funny that one of the largest creators, who has basically said he doesn't know that there's any reprints coming, did a sale tonight on Lord of the Rings Commander decks at $250, $260, whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there because it feels a little dirty. But I don't want to call anybody out without any proof. Now, I have large orders in for reprints that, again, they were supposed to come in October for Lord of the Rings. I think they're going to come in January, and the reason for that is I believe that WotC swapped Edge of Eternities into Q4. They pushed the collector boxes, or the commander decks, I'm sorry, into Q1 because they're trying to manage earnings. Obviously, if you watch my channel, I've done a couple of videos on this. I still need to do the third and final one, which I just need time to get to. And the reason why we didn't get a massive dump of Edge of Eternities is I think it's going to come in the next week or two in Q1 of 2024, because I think, again, they're managing revenue to their quarter, and dumping product on distribution is obviously a big hit. So anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, is there grift? Is there no grift? But either way, let's get started. So One Piece, absolutely effing nuts on One Piece. OP14 allocations are out for GTS. They are not out for Alliance. Alliance did their website cut over to Universal over the weekend. It seems like it's gone relatively smoothly. My rep is, I would rate him like a 1.5 out of 10. So I haven't gotten a whole lot of information other than just blaming everybody else because he can't figure the system out. But I would imagine we're going to see allocations for OP14 there early this week, because, obviously it comes out in 2 Fridays from now. EBO3, nothing yet. It is going to be interesting to see if the print the print quantity of the set is pretty high, but kind of is what it is. TSO3, I think I have the letters right. It is a tin set that is open for order on GTS currently. We have not seen OP17 yet. I would imagine we're probably not going to see that until February, but OP15 and 16 have all been out for order. So that's pretty much everything with One Piece. Let's see. Final Fantasy. I want to touch on this very briefly. So Journey of Discovery and the set before, Gunslinger in the Abyss, the sealed product hasn't done great, but the value of the singles in the box have been astronomical. For example, Gunslinger in the Abyss has Lightning, full art. And again, I don't know what the odds are. I opened a couple boxes, got a couple of them. They're selling for like $105 when the box is at distro or like $39. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But with Dreamlike Oceans, this is their 15th anniversary set. They've also increased the price pretty substantially. Now there's tariff issues, but effectively it's $56 a box. They've gone from 36 to 18 packs. So 3 sets ago, there were 36 packs, I believe, 36. They've now gone to 18, which is basically half the size. But back then, the cost of the boxes were $70. Now it's $56 for half of that. So the boxes have gone up pretty substantially. So it's going to be interesting to see what the ordering looks like for that. I know I talked to one of the distributors who carries it, and they said they're nowhere close to being sold out. I tend to think it's going to be decent value just because I think people are going to under order it because the last 2 sets haven't done great, but also because it's a little bit more expensive. Speaking of more expensive, everybody's favorite garbage, Flesh and Blood, Compendium of Wrath. So Wrath, Wraith, whatever you call it. So this has been under ordered more than Super Slam fairly significantly. I actually called one of my reps up and I missed the order window and just said, "Hey, can I get a couple hundred boxes?" And he's like, probably can't get you that much, but I should be able to get you a decent amount." I have no interest in selling sealed because it doesn't move. But if I get a decent amount, I'm going to try to break it for singles just to see what happens. It's going to be an interesting experiment because I know a couple of the large single sellers. I think I mentioned this last week, and they are not going to sell singles this time. They've just lost all faith in the company because they are Game Piece Army, blah, blah, blah. And it seems like New Zealand manufacturers or game producers, their mindset just doesn't work in North America. So you have these guys, you have Sorcery, and it just everybody just loses faith in them very, very fast. Now, the folks that play the game love the game; they continue to buy the game, but from the value aspect, they just continue to crush value, and it's weird. It's a weird cultural dichotomy, if you will. There you go, triple word score for the day. So moving on, Godzilla. Third set comes out in a week or two. Again, this is starting to pick up some notoriety here. If you like Godzilla, it's probably worth picking up if you can get it cheap. But also, since Bushi is making the game, there's some very, very interesting chase cards that have had a lot of value. And again, I mentioned this last week. I think BPO2 had a card that sold for like $12,000. And I think the website says that there's 100 in Japanese and English. So I don't know if that's 100 each or 100 total. But either way, it's interesting to pay attention to. Gundam, the the same large content creator who I believe is grifting a little bit on Lord of the Rings and not being completely truthful, also bashed Gundam a little bit. I'm not seeing the lack of demand in sell-through. All the data points I see is there's a lot of sell-through happening. Even GDO1 still selling 20 to 30 boxes a day. I think they printed it pretty substantially. Now, the box prices for GDO1, which is New Type Rising, are still sitting at like $150 a box, which, I think MSRP is $125. So they're still doing well. But as with any Bandai game, it comes out to a ton of hoopla. The second set comes out and it's kind of like, because there's not a whole lot of game meta out there. So once we get the third set in, and that's coming out the end of January as well, we're gonna see what happens. And I have a feeling that Gundam, we have the new Netflix cartoon coming out in a couple weeks as well. I think it's going to catch fire here, quite honestly. And I'm not going to say it's going to do more than One Piece, but honestly, this is far more interesting to me than One Piece outside of, obviously the price movement. So it's certainly worth paying attention to. Sorcery Contested Realms, the gift that keeps on giving. It's like herpes or the clap. So Southern is sold out of everything except for precons. However, PhD just got another shipment of beta and another shipment of Arthurian Legends. Obviously, the boxes have moved up. The company can't stop shipping product out. Arthurian Legends was October 2024. Beta was like was supposed to be March, but it ended up being October of 2023. We're now just over 2 years from that, and they're still dropping reprints. There's just nothing to see here. They're going to kill their own game. At some point, you just draw a line in the sand. You have a new set with Gothic that's 440 cards that has to stand on its own. And you just let the old ones bake and age and see what happens. But again, going back to those game producers from New Zealand, the mindset and the business mentality doesn't translate into the North American market. And it's going to end up, it's already niche-y, but it's going to die. And I hate to say that, but I have no faith in the guy that runs it. Quite honestly, I think he's a little bit of a mental midget when it comes to this stuff. But anyway, is what it is. So let's go. Oh, Riftbound. That's this one. So Riftbound, for the Origins reprint, we have seen everybody except for the website we're on and another distributor. I think everybody else has pushed their product out, or at least allocated it. So over the next week or two, everything should hit the market. It looks like it's going to be about a third to 40% in total of what I got from the original. And again, that's a bunch of distributors that are not OP plus OP. But when it comes to the second set, Spirit Forged, it looks like I'm going to get about the same, or maybe a little bit less than the first set. So the lowest I've seen pre-sale for Spirit Forged, I think, is $219.99. If the set's good, it's going to zoom again. There's just not that much out there. So it's worth paying attention to. It's worth picking up. And it is what it is. You know, I know a lot of people have complained about the meta, about the fact that I guess there's only 2 decks that matter. But I mean, quite honestly, the IP is kind of all world. So, you know, whatever. It's worth buying if you like it. Moving on, Yu-Gi-Oh! I said my piece on the new set with the fancy cards and the serialized cards. I have no interest. I would stay away. Weiss. So we talk about Nikki every week. We talk about Azure Lane every week, drawing up. We talk about Freerin with the new season coming out in 3 weeks in Netflix. But what I want to talk about is Nikki Volume 2 was announced this week from, it looks like Japanese is going to be June or July of this year. And then English is going to come out in October. I'm probably going to try to buy a bunch of cases of Japanese because they do have the on-card autographs. So I didn't realize this. I was educated yesterday, the day before. So the Japanese version are printed in Japan. So the voice actors are local. So they just break out a Sharpie, they sign the cards, the serialized cards. But when it comes to English, they're printed in Malaysia. And the company is too cheap to have folks sign the cards and ship them over there, which is why they do the stamp cards. So it's going to be interesting because I think, you know, Nikki is performing extremely well. There's a ton of liquidity. So we'll see what happens. Moving on, Pokemon. So I'm told that my buddy Mason at Cardinal just did a video on Ascended Heroes saying he was pretty short on allocation. I haven't watched it yet. And again, you know, I don't think I said this last video, but his content's really good. You know, check him out for sure. He's just outside Louisville. But I mean, he has a couple stores, so he knows his shit. I'm not seeing that with Ascended Heroes. Maybe my mix of distributors is different than everybody else's. But I'm kind of hoping deep down, and there's not a whole lot of it out there outside of what I'm getting. Obviously, you know, I'm a capitalist. But we'll see what happens here. We are going to probably start getting this week or next week, the next couple sets, Mega Evolutions 3, and then there is an Emerald something or other, Emerald Storm something, which is, I've heard rumors that it's the 30th anniversary set, which is not going to come out at 30th anniversary. It's going to come out months after. I've also heard rumors it's Mega Evolutions 4. I have no idea. Quite honestly, I don't care. When I find out, we'll sell it, etc. But as of right now, Ascended Heroes is looking strong. I did disclose months ago that the Mega Charizard UPCs are going to have a print run of approximately 3 million. I did share some information in Discord. I'm not going to show the receipts here, but from the packing slip that I've seen, there's about 2.6 million at the very least that have been created. That is the same facility that was printing the 700,000 super premium collections that are going to big box stores, and also printing the 1.5 million booster box wrappers, containers, whatever you want to call them, packaging for Phantasmal Flames. That is due in the end of February. So the fact that I now have corroboration makes me feel extremely certain that we are going to see that reprint coming. And I would imagine, so the Pokemon Company outsources a lot of the packaging creation and then the actual packing of product. As far as I know, they're manufacturing the packs themselves, and then they're sending them to somebody to pack them and prep them and ship them to distribution, especially for the specialty product. So it's going to be interesting to see. I would imagine that along with Phantasmal, they are also going to dump Mega 1 and Destined as well. But I have no confirmation that that's going to be the case. But, you guys want some juicy information. That's what I got. Moving on to Magic the Gathering. Let's see. So everybody's favorite. Oh, yeah. So as I mentioned, Rudy's running a sale on Lord of the Rings Commanders. I'll just come out and say it now. He said last week that he doesn't know there's reprints coming. I've had orders outstanding for 2 months now with distribution. They're just waiting for confirmation of shipping. They're coming. They're probably coming in the next couple weeks. So we'll see how grifty it is. I hope I'm wrong, but it's going to be a fun thought experiment to see, if it is or if it isn't. Edge of Eternities, I think there's going to be a sizable second wave. The first wave, again, these guys are managing their earnings to a T, which is why we didn't see Final Fantasy play boxes till Q4 of 2025. They had them done. They didn't need the revenue until then because they had Spider-Man, and then they had, obviously, Final Fantasy straddling Q2 and Q3. So these guys are managing when products hit. And again, Edge of Eternity's hitting. You have about 702 boxes per case, whereas when you look at like Lord of the Rings or Karlov Manor, Commander decks, you're looking at probably 168 to 208 per pallet, depending on how it's packed. So obviously, the play boxes are far more efficient from a gross dollars, revenue, profit, etc. So I would anticipate we're going to see a large number of Edge of Eternity's play hit here in the next couple weeks. We're also going to see the Lord of the Rings Commanders, the Karlov Manor Commanders, which quite honestly are my favorite because the EV on those is very, very strong and people shit all over them because they are Karlov Manor. And then, we'll see some other items, Foundations, Bloomburrow, Lord of the Rings set boxes, which again should be here in January, and Wilds of Eldraine set boxes, which are probably going to be February, March, so a little bit pushed out. And then we'll see, the Ixalan again, another reprint of set boxes there, but that should be the last one. But looking here, Avatar is all sold out from distribution outside of play and some small ancillary things. Commander or the collector boxes are finally gone. Lorwyn is going to be super interesting because in my final allocations that I have, the Commander decks have like doubled. So they've printed the shit out of these. And I've heard a couple different content creators say that, well, we don't know why they're taking the collector sample pack out. I will tell you guys with no uncertainty, when I talked to Wizards of the Coast in September, they told me we're taking them out because it's slowing down the print process. That's it. They want to print shit as fast as possible because they are trying to create the most efficient processes possible. They don't give a fuck about the game. They only give a shit about how quickly we put the product out, how much money we can make, and how we manage earnings. Now, the beauty of that is when it's the devil you know how to manage around it. So, for example, Ixalan just reprinted Commander displays a couple months ago. Duskmorn back in the end of August, distro price was 109 to 113 depending. Now they're pushing 180. You know what you have, and if you get to the point where they don't reprint, they're going to go to $300-400, and it's kind of like the mindset with Pokemon in the bear market, where it's like, why do I pre-order? Let's wait for the end of the 2-year window, and then you can accumulate through a reprint. That's where Magic is right now. Outside of Commander decks or gift bundles, Commander decks, collector boxes or gift bundles, play no, Commander decks no, unless you're selling singles. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to buy them and sit on them. It makes sense to buy them and churn them. So moving on to Turtles. As I mentioned last week, the week before, I've doubled my orders on this. I'm just, putting the foot to the gas or the pedal to the floor on this, whatever you want to call it, because the next couple sets are going to be bangers. And I know that everybody in the world thinks this is a complete pile of garbage, but it's not going to get any worse from here. So, I kind of look at Lorwyn and think Tarkir. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I kind of think worst case is going to be like Innistrad Remastered, where it's like Purgatory. You're not going to make a ton, but you're not going to lose your ass. You're just going to have a bunch of product that you have to move. So if that's the worst case scenario and the worst set of the year, it's really a great place to be. So that's pretty much it. Talked Pokemon. We talked everything else. So we have Strixhaven coming out. I believe it is April or May. It's a pretty quick turnaround after Turtles. And then we have the June set, which is Marvel. But quite honestly, I wouldn't sleep on Magic. I think from an EV perspective, as the market kind of pulls back a little bit on sealed and pushes more toward buying singles, we're going to see a ton of opportunity to break sealed product. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So anyway, guys, that's all I got. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and have a good week. We'll talk soon.